Hello, everyone. This is author, motivational speaker, and dating coach Matthew C. Horne, bringing you a video tonight titled Choosing the Right Woman, Anxious versus Observant. But before we go any further, always know that my videos in the dating space, they're inspired by my books, How to Get Beautiful Women and Everything Else You Want from Life, and the new How to Be Appealing to Successful Black Men for Black Women. They're both available at my website, www.matthewchorne.com. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We're going to do something a little bit different tonight. I'm not sitting on the couch. I believe I received what was a prophetic word that will help men to choose the right woman. This is a bit different. I don't know how long I'm going to go tonight, but this is something that in my meditation, I was just thinking about what I wanted to talk about, and a message came and literally overwhelmed me. So once again, the title of tonight's message, Choosing the Right Woman, Anxious versus Observant. The man who is anxious, he bypasses all of the red flags that he sees in women and makes a declaration that the next attractive woman who sits in his space long enough will be his girlfriend. He's making a declaration that the next woman who is attractive that sits in his space long enough will be his woman, be his girlfriend, be his wife. And this is dangerous because you always want to observe an individual over time if you're going to make a life-sustaining and life-changing choice as to who your partner is going to be, who your woman is going to be. Being anxious will have you paying an attorney of your wife to sue you and take everything you have. Dissect that. Okay? This is a man who was anxious. He got ahead of himself. He got ahead of the still small voice that speaks to him. He got ahead of the guidance that is guiding him from within, God, to be in that position where now you are paying an attorney, for your soon-to-be ex-wife to sue you and take everything that they possibly can from you. Think about that. Anxious is going to lend its way to having you in positions that oftentimes it takes a sizable amount of time to recover from, or you dig yourself so deep in a hole that you're going to be feeling the remnants of it for the rest of your days. It's very important to not be anxious. It's very important to not be anxious. Anxious will have a woman dangling your child that you love in front of you, even with a court order of visitation saying that child doesn't want to see you. Showing up to pick your child up, and the woman starts playing games and keeps you from seeing your child, even with a court order that you all have shared custody, and this is your day and this is your time. Being anxious, nothing good comes from being anxious. And when you're anxious, now you're at the mercy of God's grace. And you don't have to be at the mercy of God's grace in that regard, because he told us to be vigilant. He told us to be observant. He told us to not be anxious. so we can make quality decisions that will increase our quality of life, that will keep us in a peaceful state so we can focus on our purpose and making sure that we're directly aligned with the will of God and there's no chaos. The cornerstone and the calling card of God is peace. So any woman that he brings to you, you're going to have peace about. And that's how you know the woman that you should choose. Because the good thing about finding a woman is that things do happen in phases. Okay. The first thing you want to see is, does she have that desire for you? Does she value you? Does she respect you? Do you feel that strong physical attraction between the two of you that lets you know that you're her type, that she's into you? Okay, that's the beginning. And then from there, you find yourself dealing with this person over time. And over time, you want to make sure that things increase, elevate, and they don't change in terms of going backwards. Anything with God is moving forwards. Anything that's for you is alive. If it's breathing, if it's growing, it's alive. And that's where the things that God has for us, they're in the realm of the alive. There's life constantly being breathed and results that complement the life that's being breathed into the things that God puts in our path and in our life. If things are moving backwards and there's chaos and there's unrest and there's an absence of peace, then that is your sign to disengage, because that is not something that has been given to you. That's something that you've added to yourself. The difference between being anxious and being observant: anxious means that you're going to add things to yourself that are not aligned with the will of God for your life. Being observant is meaning that you are receptive to and patient enough to receive the things that God is adding to you. And the way that you know this woman is right for you is that you're going to see her over time. You're going to see her in different positions in life. You're going to see her back against the wall, because life will put all of our backs against the wall at some point in time. And you're going to see what comes out of her. You're going to see her temperament. You're going to see her disposition. You're going to see her attitude towards you. You're going to see how she treats other people. You're going to see how she handles the highs and the lows and sometimes the laws of life. You're going to see those things. And if you have peace based on what you see in this woman, you're going to know that this is the woman for you. This woman is not going to come into your space and make a bunch of demands and requirements of you like the sisterhood tells her to do. She's not crying about Cheesecake Factory and Olive Garden and things that she believes are beneath her. She's thankful, she's open, and she's receptive to whatever gift and impartation that you want to make into her life at a particular time. That's the woman for you. This is the woman that ultimately would get the best from you because she's inspired you in that regard. She's inspired you by virtue of her presence and how she's impacted your life and brought peace to your space, brought the extension of peace that you've already created for yourself, how she's brought these things to your space. Now you are inspired. And as you can see that she can handle you giving her your best. Nothing's changing. Everything's getting better. You two are growing together. The bond is strengthening. You're getting the signs and markers that this is the woman for you. You're a positive and elevated impact in each other's life. That's how you know that this is the woman for you. But we're not just going to leave it right here on the surface. I was giving some scriptures tonight. Yeah, I told you we're going to switch it up a little bit tonight. So, we want to visit Philippians 4, verses 6 and 7. Verse 6. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God. Verse 7. And the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ. So this is clearly giving us the blueprint of how God adds things to our lives. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God. Meaning that it's okay to have a desire for a woman and companionship in your life. That's how God made us. But he said, don't be anxious for it. When you're anxious, you're moving ahead of what God is trying to show you regarding the person that's in front of you. Anxious will excuse things. It will blind you to the various things that will cripple and debilitate you moving forward in your life. Being anxious means that you will overlook glaring red flags if they are present. But if you're not anxious, then let's go to verse 7. And the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Okay. We're human beings. Your heart and your mind are going to want things sometimes. But when you wait Now the peace of God, which passeth all of that. Now the peace of God will, what does verse 7 say? It will keep your hearts and minds, meaning that you'll be satiated and satisfied, not knowing the outcome of what you ask God for in terms of your heart's desire, what your heart and your mind is telling you that you want. So that's how you know that this is the right woman for you, because you have the level of peace. You're not led by your heart and your mind. You're led by the divinity and the instructions and the revelation of God of who this person is that's in front of you. So you're either going to be led by the Spirit, the still small voice, God, who's giving you, who's going to show you what's truly for you, or you're going to be led by the carnal heart and mind that has its own desires, that has its own path, and that will ultimately lead you to an outcome that is unfavorable and that you will ultimately pay a price for moving forward. You don't want to be led by your heart and your mind. You want to be led by that peace. That's how God communicates his peace. That's how it says, even if you look at it from another biblical perspective, okay? If you look at when Jesus performed miracles in the Bible, he will always tell the people to go in peace, because God dwells in the realm of peace. And what I'm saying is that there's a level of understanding that you get when you operate in peace. The still small spaces, the quiet place, is where the spirit that's in you can communicate with the all-knowing, omniscient spirit of creation, because there's no disconnect. They just have to connect. And you have to get out of the way in order for them to connect, and you can hear what is being spoken to you on your behalf that's according to the will of God for your life. You have to get yourself out of the way. It's okay to have the desires. He said, let your request be made known. Yes, let it be made known, but ultimately let God show you if it's for you. And that's when you wait for the peace. And when you've seen this woman over time, and she's shown up the right way. You've elevated, you've grown. She's receptive to you as a leader. She can trust you because she sees the results that you have in your life by submitting yourself to God as she submits herself to you. She believes in the order. This is the woman for you. And you'll know it's right. You'll know it's time when you have that peace that passes all understanding. That's when you know you have the right woman in your space. If you have question marks, if you have anything in the back of your mind concerning who this woman is and why she's here, and you don't have peace, if you bypass that, now you are subject to the consequences that come from jumping ahead, being anxious, and not waiting on the perfection of the answer, which is peace. When you wait, you mount up with wings. You go towards the light, the divinity that God has for you when you wait. That's what you have to do. But you know you're not being anxious when you wait on that confirmation of that peace. And don't jump ahead of the peace, because as I outlined earlier in the video, you will pay a consequence. And that's essentially it in regards to being anxious. But then you want to be, once again, you want to be observant. You can have a desire, but you want to be able to be still enough to be observant, to decipher if that desire is actually for you. It's okay to have a desire. We're human beings. We're born that way. Some things are ingrained into the fabric of who we are. A lot of times our desires are aligned with the purpose and the destiny that we have anyway. But you just want to make sure that you manifest those desires in a way that's going to continue to push you forward, meaning that you're waiting on the peace. You're not getting ahead of the peace. You're being observant, being able to see this person in various situations and circumstances and get the confirmation of peace based on what you see comes out of that person. When they can't pretend, when they can't manipulate, when life puts their back against the wall, like it's going to do for all of us. Whatever comes out of that person is the truth of who they are. And when you see that person through enough seasons, and you have peace about what you saw come out of this person in conjunction with this person's impact on your life, this person's presence, what you've seen come out of them, then that's when you know. That's when it's right. But it's all going to be confirmed through peace. That is the space that God communicates. It's peace. And let's confirm that one more time. Where are we this time? Let's see if I mark this up correctly. Okay. Give me 1 second. It's my first time incorporating the word into one of my videos like this. But here we go. We're going to take it to Matthew chapter 11, verses 29 and 30. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Meaning that God will not bring a woman into your life that will disrupt the will of God that you are operating in. There will, he says, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. Not saying that you all won't go things and you all have to adjust to one another. That's life. But there will be a compatibility. Compatibility in the books that I've written is the absence of frequent conflict, meaning that the world looks similar to you both, and you all can grow through conflict as opposed to constantly being in a state of conflict. Two individuals coming together, that does not guarantee perfection. That guarantees that there will be some periods and times of adjustment, but you have to understand that the right person, you're going to go through those adjustments and come out with a closer and tighter bond, because that is the person who's divinely meant for you to be with. When you can come out of conflict and enter into, once again, peace, and there is not a constant state of conflict, that peace is what governs your relationship, even as you all adjust to one another and become congruent and become one. And let's go above verse 29. Okay, we're still in Matthew chapter 11. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Meaning that don't be anxious. Come unto me. All ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. I will give you rest because you will have peace. You will have the rest that will lead you to the place of peace when it's right. So what if it hasn't come yet? Are you preparing yourself for what you want? That's another thing. When you bring something to God, he says through prayer and supplication, that means you're bringing it to him through faith, meaning it hasn't manifested itself yet, but it's something that you desire. Okay, this same Bible right here says faith without works is dead. So if you're asking for a woman who's easy to be around, who's in shape, who has a God consciousness, who has a good heart, who is attractive in many ways, internally and externally. If you're asking a woman who can submit to your leadership, have you submitted to the leadership of God? Are you in shape if you want a woman who's in shape? Are you looking your best if you want a woman who's attractive? See, you have to do the work to become a match for what you want. Life is not just a given and an automatic. You have to do the work in order to prepare for and be a match for what you want. Because what you want to do is when you meet the woman that's for you, who's elevated, who has learned from her mistakes, who is taking in wisdom and guidance and choosing to elevate herself daily, you want to be recognizable to that woman, meaning that you have to do the work on yourself. And you can't just wait for God to just drop something in your lap, because you can't encounter something and keep it And it can't stay in your space if you're not a match and if you're not recognizable to that thing as being kindred, as being one. So you have to do the work on yourself if you ultimately want to be recognizable to the kind of woman that you want. But I don't have too much more. This is something that was on my heart and I wanted to make sure I shared it. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. That's when you're going to find the rest. When you understand that if it's brought to you and it's for you, it's not going to be perfect, but it will be accompanied by peace. That's how that yoke is easy and that burden is light. And that's how you know that you found the woman that's for you. That's how you know that it's now safe and it's okay for you to choose her, because you weren't anxious, you were observant. You were patient until the spirit of all creation and that still small voice within you connected. And you had that peace, and it was shown that this is a woman that you can trust, and you didn't move ahead of that. So you'll know the woman that's for you when she is a representation of peace that passeth all understanding. This has been Matthew C. Horne, author, motivational speaker, and dating coach. Thank you for allowing me to share a word with you tonight. I pray that you were inspired and that your eyes were opened, and that somehow, some way, that even if you're not conscious of it right now, that this is a word that's going to be timely and relevant at a very pivotal and needed place in your life. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And also, if this message has elevated your thinking, if it has been a blessing to you, don't forget my donation information is in the description. Let's keep this movement going. If you think that you could benefit from coaching from someone like me to help you to get the outcomes that you would like in the dating space, please don't hesitate to contact me at matthewchorne23@gmail.com. I've enjoyed this one. It's a little different than what I normally do, but I've enjoyed it. Choosing the right woman. Anxious versus observant. Please take that with you. I'll be back with you very soon with some more videos. And once again, I've enjoyed this, and be blessed. That's all I can say. See you soon.